Ripper here. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. This is my first ever, and it's going to be the best ever for me. Is a tier list ranking of the current tier 10 and tier 11 super, or you want to call them super ships. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And I just got a new computer, so this is going to be fun. I'm trying out something new here, new kind of style format and videos. But again, before we begin, like, subscribe, bell button below. Can't appreciate you guys enough. On our way to 1,100 or 1,200 subscribers now. We've actually passed our goal, and at 2,000, we're going to give away a premium DD, because that's fitting, because I'm a DD main. Why not give away a Destroyer, right? So let's get right to it. Let's talk about, and I'm using right here the, if you guys don't know what this is, it's the shiptool.st, and it's filter. You can Google it. It's something I use. I like to use. I think Flamu and a lot of other guys online use it. More of like just to see the ranking, the stats of the ship, and this is what I use. And then we got the tier list maker right here, and I've kind of broken it down to very simple, just categories. Either super OP, definitely recommend. Very good, definitely recommend still. The good, average, good overall, below average, and then poor, why bother? So that's how we're going to rank it. A couple of the ships, disclaimer here. Again, this is just my opinions. Let me know if you have disagree, agree, whatever that may be in comments below. This is just my opinion, how I play destroyers and what I think they are, where the meta is for the current state of the ships. And this is the current... let's see, the current list of ships right here that I have, and it's online, and including the tier 11, and some of them that have been released that are just kind of like Joshua Humphreys is not technically out yet for purchase, but it was just for the auction that you just had, and then I just got the Kunming from the auction as well. So again, there's just a couple disclaimers there before we begin, but and some of them are not all on this tier list. So I'll talk about those ones that are kind of just special outliers. But without further ado, let's get right to it. So I'm just going to go down the list and just see, hey, what's the first one available and whatever's left over, and I'm going to rank them the best way I see fit. So let's talk about the very first oldie but goldie is the Shimakaze. Shimakaze, let's take a look at that real quick. Shimakaze, right, let's see, he is right there. Shimakaze right there, Japanese tier 10 destroyer, mostly focused on torpedoes. And let's see, oh, I see it's focused on torpedoes. Put torpedoes right there. Okay, let's see, where does it rank in torpedo DPM? And DPM, if you don't know, that's the damage per minute. It's really just kind of how much damage can you output or pump out in a minute. And I guess that's a very good way to judge how much firepower you're producing on the battlefield. Because remember, these games are only based on time, and this is the kind of very good metric to use. And it's top 4 for the torpedoes, and it should be. Most of the Japanese destroyers are, but let's get right back to it. Shimakaze, what do I think? I think it's just more of an average to below. It's somewhere around here, so I don't really play the Shimakaze, really. And I honestly, I'm sorry to say, I might have to put this in maybe a 2 situational. I'm not saying it's below average. I would just say it's just situational, because the way I play as a gunboat DD main, Shimakaze doesn't fit well and work well for me. Now, if you're a person that likes to go out there and spot, cap, and torpedo from the distance and just kind of sit back and relax, great. That's awesome. But for my gameplay, my style, I notice, and especially in ranked or maybe even clan battles, you don't really see many Shimakazes that you're going against, because, and I'll explain the reason why, is because, again, it's too situational. Look at the torpedoes. The torpedoes pump out a great deal of damage. Now, these are the stock configuration, but the Shimakaze's only got 20. I mean, you can go reach out and touch it. You can go to, 8-kilometer torps, F3. You got the F2 and F1 that can go out to maybe 12.5 to 20-something kilometers plus out there. So you can get out there and reach and touch somebody. However, look at the reload time, 150 seconds. If you build down to it, it's still 2 minutes. That is a long time. And when you shoot them, you got to wait 2 minutes before you're back in the game, because why? Main battery, Shimakaze has some of the worst DPM in the game. Look, maximum Marceau is the number 1 right there, right? Where's Shimakaze? Way down number 27. It's got a very slow reload rate, 5.7. The guns turn slow, so even if you're caught off guard, a destroyer that's got guns on you, and you got to flip 90 degrees or 180, it takes a long time to turn these guns. HP pool is not all there. I mean, let's look at the Shimakaze's. Let's see here. HP pool, 17,900. So when you build for it, you're getting in maybe like 20,000-ish plus range. It's not the greatest. It's fast. I'll give you that. It is a fast destroyer. Let's see. Where's the speed? Let's see, where is it at? Max speed is, yeah, look at that. 39 knots you build for, you can get up to 40 plus. And then obviously the detection by sea. So if I see a 6.9, I always subtract about 1. So I would say This thing can get down to about a 6 kilometer. So Shimakaze, I mean, this thing, yeah, it's cool. It's a cool little ship. It's good for stealthy attacks, long distance torping. The guns are not there, and really AA is already crap. Okay, I'm not going to talk about AA, by the way, for the rest of this video, because AA is just basically fireworks show, and it's really non-existent. But main battery is what I focus on, and the torpedoes. This is a torpedo boat, so again, yeah, I just don't think it's too situational. That's why you don't really see it used a lot in the very big matches. And it's more for randoms and just playing around and just wants to see torpedoes launched from a distance. So I'm going to have to say it's below average to situational in my playstyle, my personal opinion. Now, Hayate, it's a little bit better. So Hayate is something I have as well. And it is more if we basically slapped a Haragumo and a Shimakaze together, and I'll talk about Haragumo later, but Hayate is the kind of mixture of a gunboat and the Shimakaze form of gunboat for Shimakaze. I don't know how to say that. So where is this thing at? Let's see. Hayate. Am I missing it here? Hayate, it's right there. Look at the DPM. So general, it's got a little bit more HP on it. Better, somewhat kind of similar speed. Detection, not the greatest. It's not as good as Shimakaze. Again, this is kind of like if they smashed a Haragumo and Shimakaze together, and now this is what the baby would be like. And really, the main battery is a little bit better. So you see the Hayate right here, 193,000, while the Shimakaze is down here. You get a little bit faster reload rate, so 4 seconds. So that's really what you got going for it. And the guns turn a little faster. That's it. I mean, and then the torpedoes. Let's look at the torpedoes. Hayate, let's see. You got 12-kilometer torpedoes. I think they do reach a little bit farther if you do build for them. A lot of good damage. Reload time's pretty hefty out there. They're 67-knot torpedoes, so they only give you about 9.4 second reaction time. You can build down for it. I get a little bit better for speed or something, but this is just a basic build. And let's see, what else? We were talking about HE shells. Yeah, the HE shells we talked about. Hayate really is a little bit better. It's just a better Shimakaze for just if you had an extra set of guns, and that's really it. It's the detection is really the key right there. It's a little worse for the better gun reload. So again, I'm gonna have to say it is an average, a little bit better, good roll. It's not as too situational because you do have the guns, you still got a concealment, you still can shoot torpedoes. And let me see if this thing does tell you, Hayate, what kind of torpedoes it has. Yeah, so you get a reload booster. So you can either use the smoke generator, or you can use torpedo reload booster. Now again, the Shimakaze only has the basics, the speed boost, the smoke, and the damage con. Now you can get a reload booster instead of smoke for Hayate, but again, you're sacrificing the smoke. So again, situational. However, you do have some kind of output of firepower that can overcome a match and actually help your team win a game or contribute to the fight. So that's my personal opinion on that one. Now, Haragumo, since we're already talking about the Japanese destroyers, let's look at the Haragumo then. Haragumo, very good, definitely recommend. I'm a gunboat DD main. Again, disclaimer, that's the way I play it, and that's exactly why I recommend it that way, because look at the Haragumo. Haragumo down here, let's look, if we were going to look at main battery, who's got some of the highest DPM in the game? Number 4, top of the list right there, 240,000 HE DPM with 340. That's basic build right there. If you want to up it, like if we can upgrade modules, you could actually get this thing a little higher. But Haragumo right there, phenomenal. Now, generally, the Haragumo, it's a fairly large ship. A lot of HP though, 25,600. So you can build a little bit higher for it. You can build the modules. The speed is a little slower. It's a little more clunkier, kind of like a small little cruiser in my opinion. It's also, the detection is a little bit bigger, but you can still get it down about a 6.1-ish, I believe. Let's see if I do that. Yeah, it doesn't tell you. And then detection by, see, we already talked about that. The turn radius, a little bit larger. Again, it's like a clunky little cruiser, mini cruiser. But what really is the selling point is this main battery right here. Like the reload, ungodly. If you really build for it, 5 sets of guns, dual barrel, your 3 seconds, you can build it down to maybe 2.1 with a adrenaline rush and fearless brawler. You can get that thing down really, really good. And see what other torpedoes. It still has torpedoes. That's the cool thing about it. Torpedoes, they're 12-kilometer torpedoes. They reload in about, it's pretty crappy reload. You only get 1 set, though. They're 67 torps, 9.4 seconds. But here's the cool thing. The Haragumo, you get a reload booster. So if you shoot one of your, and these are 1x6 tube launchers, too. So torpedo, 1x6. So range 12, Spread, yep, you got it. Speed 67. Now, the torpedo reload booster really comes into play because if you launch one, if someone's rushing you, you can hit that reload booster, get another 6 torpedoes ready to go, all while you're firing these 100 millimeter guns that do penetration of 30 millimeters. If you play for IFHE, you can get it up to 37. So it is a very versatile ship. It's awesome. It's got torpedoes, guns. It can spot. It can detect. It can do DD hunt. It can start farming cruisers and battleships. You see where I'm talking about the diversity of this destroyer? Because as a destroyer player, you have to do everything. You are literally capping, spotting, gunboating, DD hunting. If you had to go hunt submarines nowadays, I mean, you are literally spotting for the team. You're capping for the team. You're capturing points for the team. Those little reload things that you see in arms race. You got to do a lot of things as a destroyer player. So really, the biggest one is you have to be able to be versatile, and you have to be able to adapt and overcome the battlefield with those capabilities. So those are the 3 Japanese destroyers right there in a nutshell. There is a couple more that are out there that I'm not really seeing that I haven't really played. I think. Let's see, where is it at? It is, forgive me here, I'm looking. There is another one that's out there. Yamagiri's one, I believe, is the, Yamagiri. So let's look. I'll rank these. So I'll look at Yamagiri as well since I'm all over the place. We'll go to General here. We'll go to Nation. So here are the Japanese crews. So Haragumo, we talked about Hayate. Yamagiri is the last one. So Yamagiri, what is it? It is that super ship where it's essentially a Shimakaze on steroids. It's just got a lot of more torpedoes. Let's take a look at it. It's got the 3x6. So you got essentially Haragumo-style torpedo launchers, but 3 of them. And that's all you. I thought I had a reload booster for a second there, but yeah, I haven't played the Yamagiri really, and I don't want to because of this reason. You're too reliant on these torpedoes. They reload again in a very, very long fashion. 155. They're good speeds, good detection. I get it. And the HE shell damage is not really there. Look at it. Here, what's the reload time on this thing? 127 millimeters. Fire chance 21, pretty standard. I wonder why. Here it is. Main battery. Let's see here. Reload time 4.5 seconds. Yeah, it's not the greatest. So HP pull standard for a super ship, it's kind of bad. I would think that you as a super ship would give it a little bit more. It's still a fast little. It's essentially a little Shimakaze with an extra torpedo reload, or actually an extra set of torpedo launchers. That's a 3x6 rather than 3x5. So this is what the Shimakaze used to be like, I believe. It used to be 6 launchers. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know in the chat, because a long time ago, I remember Shimakaze had like a 6-tube torpedo launcher, and this is what it used to be. Shimakaze used to be the Yamagiri, essentially. But again, too situational. I mean, you're literally relying on your torpedoes too much, and really, with the amount of reload it has, it's too long. And yeah, they're cool. They can get them. You can get these things out to 20, I believe. Let me see. Where is Yamagiri? Yeah, you can get them out to. Let's see. Where's the torpedoes? Can you get these things out? 20 kilometers. Yep, right there. 20 kilometers alternative. Yep, that's what it is right there. So you can do these 20-kilometer torps, which are redonkulous, going that far out and touching somebody, but too situational with that long reload time. So I really don't recommend it. Yamagiri. So I would place the Yamagiri again and more of a, I would say almost average to situational, because essentially it's just another Shimakaze. I mean, I've hunted down all the types of Shimakaze Yamagiris using all types of other destroyers. So I'm a DD hunter. I like hunting DDs down, and that's why I think that it's just, to me, I would place it right here and below average situational. Okay, so that's that one. So let's move on to the next one, since the first one I see. Let's talk about the American destroyers. So since I'm already in there, we got the Gearing, Joshua Humphreys, which is just released in the auction for Sherman, Summers, and I think that's about it. Yeah, there's only 4 that we have right now. So let's talk about the Summers. The Summers, right there. I would say this thing is an average one. It is average because, and the Kunming is the sister ship of the Summers, so I'll talk about that in a minute. But the Summers and the Kunming are really the similar, but I'll show a review video, I think, coming up here. I'm going to play a Kunming a little bit more to show you guys what the power of this Kunming and the Summers can be if you use it correctly. But the Summers, what is the Summers? So the Summers, to me, is right here. It's a 4-turret ship that has dual barrels, obviously. I think it could have been really good if they just gave it a faster reload time. Now, they had 4x2, 127 millimeters. Yeah, standard guns for Americans, standard range. The reload is what kills you right there. So that's why I think it's average. If this reload had been buffed to maybe 2 seconds, like a gearing or something like that, then this would maybe be a definite recommend. However, since it's got slow guns, I just can't really recommend it higher than just an average ship. And why do I say that? Because it doesn't have any heals, so it really can't gunboat duke it out. The reload's too slow, so it really cannot, again, duke it out with these high DPM style destroyers. And really, the DPM is just not all there. It's only 144,000. Very, very low on the low end. The torpedoes is what's the selling point. So again, this is kind of like that Hayate we just talked about feel, where it's 3x4 launchers. This is more of that competitor to the Japanese kind of style destroyers. The DPM is not all there either, but the cool thing is they reach out to 16.5 kilometers. They do kind of standard Fletcher kind of style damage right there. The speed is very slow, 66 kilometers, with a 1.4 detection, giving you about an 8-second reaction time. And the consumables are just standard, just smoke and just really standard destroyer kind of things. So I have to say it's really just average. I mean, you can spot, cap, do all the basics, but it's just not going to duke it out against, let's say, a Marceau or a Vampire. I mean, the detectability is cool, 7.2. You can get it maybe down to like a 6. But really, this thing, yeah, I just don't see it going above average. Now, would I play it? Absolutely. I would like to play this ship. I don't have it because it's not available anymore. I'm sorry, but those that have it, just let you know the Summers is there. But now, here's the cool part. The Kunming is the rival to it. So we'll jump straight in from the Summers, and I'm sorry to do this, that, hey, the Summers is right there with the United States destroyer line. However, the cool part is the Kunming, it's the exact same thing, except, there it is. Look, kind of like this very similar design. Now, Kunming is only available as an auction ship, which I got because I bid about 200 million credits there, but that's another story. But the Kunming is going to be available in the next couple updates here. I think another, it's a 2-3 more updates. Comment below, let me know. And the Kunming is going to be the better version of it because, look, you got 4x dual barrel 127 millimeters. DPM's a little bit higher because why? The reload's better. You get about an extra second right there. So now I've built this down to maybe a 3-second reload, so it's a little bit better. I like it, and that's the good thing. You got to have guns, and they go a little bit further than the Summers right there, right? So you see right there, it's pretty good. Now, the detectability, not the greatest, but you can still build it down if you had to. It's still decent enough, about a 6.5-ish change. That's still what I always look for. Detectability is crucial if you want a gunboat DD. And the health pool is kind of standard, 20,000-ish. You can build up 23,000. So not the best for a super ship, which I'm surprised. If you're going to build a super ship, make it strong. And then, let's see, here it is. Deep water torpedoes. That is the difference right there. Deep water torpedoes. What does that mean? It can only hit cruisers, battleships, and I believe carrier CVs as well. The range is not as good as the Summers, but only 13.5, but the damage is more significant. You get a better DPM. And then the reload rate is ridiculously high, which is still 2 minutes. However, you do have this reload booster. So the cool thing is you can launch 15 torpedoes with there, hit the reload booster, hit another 15 out there. You got 30 torpedoes going out in that direction with another 2-minute cooldown. Speed is 6 point. Here's the kicker right here, ladies and gentlemen. 0.8 kilometer detection, giving you a 4-second reaction time. Oh yeah, here's right here. It can hit CVs and BBs. So I do realize, yeah, it can hit the carriers. Look at that reaction time, 4 seconds. That's I've noticed I've been catching when I'm playing the Kunming, I'm catching a lot of battleships and CV off guard because they just don't see it. I mean, they're just sailing straight ahead like nothing's happening, and all of a sudden, boom, torpedoes are right there. You have 4 seconds to hit the A or D key to turn or run away or do something. That's just not enough time, especially if you build these things a little bit faster. You can get these things up to maybe 71 to 73 knots. It's a pretty wild matzo ball out there coming at you. So, and the damage is insane. The damage up here is 18 to 8. It's not nothing to mess around with, okay? So I would say the Kunming is pretty powerful, and I'll show you some videos about it. I would say the Kunming is a definitely very good, definite recommend right there. I'll put it right there. If it did have a heal, it'd be overpowered, but I think the Kunming is a very, very good ship in that regard. So I would put in the very good, definitely recommend a category because the guns are just a little bit better. It's a better Summers basically, and it can do everything that a destroyer is supposed to do. So while we're still working on that, so let's move up. So we're going to talk about USA again. Let's go back to the good old oldie but goldie gearing. Gearing right here. Let's see, where is it at? Did they not put the gearing here? Holy cow. Whoever built this, put the gearing on it next time. Oh, there it is. Okay, gearing. It is your first, I would put average. Reason why. It is your first ever destroyer player kind of person. That this is the thing I got when I first started the game. I got the gearing first. Why? It was just a very basic, good overall round destroyer. It's only got what? Let's look at the general. It's got, let's see here, HP is very poor, 19.4. It does 36 knots, which is standard. You can go up to maybe 40 if you had to with an engine boost. Detectability is average. It can get down to 6.1-ish, whatever. Yeah, it's great. If you do legendary modding, get even lower. I think it has one of the best if you get legendary. I believe someone said it gets down to 5.6 kilometer detection, which means you outspot everything in the game, and you really are the first to shoot, first to see, first to shoot, kind of make the style, and that's the kind of how I play. The DPM, not all there. Let's see. Gearing is up to, actually, it is pretty high up there. They must have buffed this or something because it's actually pretty good. It's got a 2.8 second reload on the guns, which is very, very good. I wish the Summers or the Kunming had that because it would make them very overpowered. But I'm sorry, the gearing's right here. Here it is, 216,000. Still just as almost good as the daring. So if you build for it, you can get it down. If it was only 2.8 seconds, just a 0.2 seconds faster, it would work really well. But again, the range isn't all there. You got to build for it. The DPM is not all there as well. It's actually pretty good. I'm very surprised. For the Force Sherman and the gearing to have that similar DPM, I'm very surprised and shocked that that's what it is. I thought it would be lower, but I guess that's what they're rating it at. And the biggest one also is it has torpedoes. There are only 2 sets, so 2x5s. They don't do the greatest DPM. It's still 100,000-ish. Let's see here. It's still in the top, but you can build now. These can go up to 16.5 kilometers if you build for it. Or select the right torpedo. So avoid this 10.5. The gearing does have some pretty wild torpedoes that go out in the distance. The good DPM damage, but again, the reload is okay if you build for it. You can get it maybe down to 90 seconds. 66 kilometers, knots speed with 1.4, you get about 8-second detection. So it's kind of along the lines of the Shimakaze style. I mean, you can detect these things pretty far out. Like, look at the Hayate 9.4, 8 seconds. Yeah, you get an extra second of advantage there. Gearing, again, it's just a very good, well-rounded destroyer. The only thing it doesn't have is it doesn't have the heals. If you're going to gunboat DD or do something that requires you to go out there and focus and go out there and become, show yourself and spot and do all these types of things, I would rather have the heal. That's why I think there's a lot of this gearing has been kind of power crap because I believe a lot of destroyers out there have a lot better survivability nowadays. But the only thing it's got going for it really is the smoke generator. Speed boost I'd rather take than the defensive fire because why? AA is trash in the game. Engine boost is all you really got. Yay, whoop-de-doo. Smoke generator is just long duration smoke. Oh, look at that. Smoke dispersion time, 130 seconds, which means you have a 2-minute smoke time. That's pretty awesome for the American DD. I think that's their specialty is their smokes last so long. But it's a good gunboat DD, but again, without that heal or some kind of survivability, it's kind of just average. So, if they gave it something extra gimmick in it, it would be really good. But it's just an average, good overall starter. Hey, if you're new to the game, definitely get a gearing. It really helps you out learning the role of a destroyer player. So that's what I recommend there. Now, since we're still on the USDDs right here, let's go with the Force Sherman. Now, Joshua Humphreys, I'm not going to talk about because it's an auction ship, but I honestly, having seen the first initial reviews as a super ship, I think it's pretty trash. I think they should do a better job of the reload rate of the guns. And the Joshua Humphrey, yeah, they only gave it 3 seconds. Worse than the gearing. I mean, come on. I'm sorry, not the gearing. Gearing, actually similar reload, but it's just higher DPM? Yeah. No, it's similar. So yeah, for a super ship to have the same DPM as a gearing, really? Oh, come on. That's terrible. It's trash. Why would I spend more money and not get credits for something like, if you're going to be super, do something super, right? Anyways, Force Sherman, it's not down here, but if I had to, Force Sherman goes up here. Very, very good. Almost borderline OP, okay? It's right here on the edge of the borderline of OP. Why do I say that? And Force Sherman, let's take a look at it right there. Force Sherman. It's the guns. The guns are what sells it. I mean, come on. Look at this. The HEDPM, the Force Sherman is up there, 216,000. And then you got, here's the kicker right here, SAP DPM. Who's the number one? That's right, you got it, Force Sherman. That is the coolest thing about Force Sherman that makes it almost OP. The Sherman has 324,000 sap damage. You don't know what sap is? It's a combination of AP and HE together. If you have better improved angles and you really have that increased damage of your shells, but you just don't start fires. But who cares if you're pumping out 324,000 damage? Because look at that. You got a 1.5 second reload. And building it, now if you build for it, which is what I do as a gunboat DD main, I can build the Force Sherman out to 15-kilometer range, which means you are reaching out there and touching somebody, and you are putting down hate. You are putting down suppressive fire, and that's exactly what you got going for it. Now, if the Joshua Humphreys did the same thing, it would be up here as two, but look, it's only one barrel. You have 3 single-barrel rifles here that are only 127 millimeters. If these were dual-barrel, this thing would be literally the best ship in the game, in my personal opinion, because you're putting so much hate out there, and they double that. Double this number. That is exactly what you're going to be doing. That's why it's so powerful. The only problem is, again, here's what makes it stink. Torpedoes. It's only got the worst torpedo damage in the game, 16.5 kilometer range, but you only got 4 single barrel, and there's only 2 on they're separated 2 on each side. You're only launching 2 torpedoes, and the angles are, look, 1 degree spread. You are literally shooting a sniper rifle on a ship that goes 16.5 looking down a soda straw, and they're 66 kilometer slow-ass torpedoes with 7.9 reaction time. Not the greatest right there. You're getting rushed as a gunboat ED. The guns really are what sells it, though, but here's the problem with the Force Sherman. It doesn't have a heal. It doesn't have anything that can allow it to survive other than the fact that it starts out with so much HP. Like, you can literally build this thing out to maybe about 28,000 HP, right? Which is what you get. What you start with is what you get. You got to survive with it. And then really, torpedoes are non-existent. Sap shell's the main power, but you got the long duration smoke. The smoke lasts, like, again, American dispersion time. Really awesome. 2-minute smoke. Here's the cool one. Here's the gimmick. The 5-kilometer hydro. So essentially, you kind of have like a vampire. It's almost like a Z52. Z52 goes out to 6. You only get 5. And DFA is trash. So this is why it's not overpowered, because if it had a heal or it had a longer hydro range or something extra to give it that extra boost, then it would be OP in my opinion. But really, it's right here. Definitely recommend. It's available in the armory. Definitely recommend. If you had to get a firepower kind of ship, Force Sherman, definitely recommend up there. I use it in ranked. I use it in randoms. I use it in clan battles. I use it in almost every mode because it does everything you need to do. Now, one extra thing I have to tell you, though, the poor part about the Force Sherman is the speed. One of the slowest destroyers in the game. Force Sherman, second slowest destroyer in the game, 33.9 knots, right behind the Tromp. So, yes, very, very bad, poor. Do not recommend in that regard. So that's my thought on it right there. Those are the American line destroyers. There's only 4 right there. Let's go ahead and move down to my next favorite one, which is the British. Let's see, the British, which we'll start with Daring. Daring? I almost want to say it's average, but honestly, I'm going to have to put it in the very good, definitely recommend. Why do I say it? It's the multi-role fighter of everything. So let's take a look at it. Where is the British one? Where's the British? UK, right there. Daring. And I'm surprised there's only 2 that are British destroyers in the tier 10 and tier 11 range. I think they were going to release a tier 11 super ship soon, but Daring, what is it? It's just got everything. If it only buffed a few things, it would be almost borderline overpowered. But why do I like this so much? So the gun angles. Why do I do that? Summary. Let's go summary. Here it is. The HP is standard. Speed standard. HP is not all there. You definitely need something to survive. But the cool thing is it has heals. That's what makes it so powerful. So if you it's very forgiving. So if you get shot at, you lose health, guess what? You got to pop the heals, boom, you're back in the game. You can re-heal your ship and come back to life. While a majority of destroyers don't have that, you can just come back and make mistakes. Detection is pretty standard, about 6.5, 6.1. You can outspot a few destroyers out there. And really, it's a very good maneuverable, good acceleration, very good. I like it a lot in that regard. The guns are incredible. Some of the best AP damage in the game. AP damage is great in the British destroyer line because improved pin angles. It's really, really powerful. Let me see. AP shells. What are the angles in here? Main battery. I don't know if it tells you. Yeah, it doesn't really tell you. But it's got improved pen angles. It really does a really good job at hitting destroyers with AP. You always switch to AP if you see a broadside anything for the destroyer roll, but it really can pack a punch. But if you need to switch to HE damage, it's right there with the gearing and everything else up top. So it's very, very good range for 12.8. You can really build a gunboat if we want to go out that reach and distance. But the reload is also 2.8 seconds. Very, very good. You can really build this down to a 2-second reload, which is awesome with Adrenaline Rush, Fearless Brawler. I really like that in a DD. That's what I look for DD gunboat mains. And really, oh yeah, here's the impact angle right here. Finally, AP damage right here. AP damage, look at this. The AP damage is horrendous. Like, it's destructive. 270,000 with an impact angle of 23.4. It means the other ship has to really angle away this much to only show 23 degrees from you and the shells to really mitigate that damage. But because that's a lot of turning that you got to do to get away from it, and it's really, really awesome. I really like the AP shell damage. It's a very good, powerful shell for this type of destroyer. Torpedo damage, again, it's got torpedoes. Now, the only kicker is it doesn't go as far, 10 kilometers, which means you still got to keep in the day of radar, you got to keep a distance from 12-kilometer radar if your torpedo is going to reach 10, you're still putting yourself in harm's way. That's why I don't like about it when you have destroyers that can reach out 13.5. Shimakaze is 20 kilometers. You have Summers and 13.5, Gearing 16.5. You see, you have those ranges, and you only get 10. The cool thing about these torpedoes they're single launch torpedo tubes, so you can or single launch capable. So you can launch them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a conga line right down the middle. So it's really cool. Still not the greatest reaction time. Still 7.8 seconds, and they're pretty slow. So reload is still 2 minutes. You can build down for it, but again, they're just kind of standard British kind of torpedo styles. But the cool other part about this is not only does it have heels, it has a Hydra that's only 3-kilometer detection for the torpedoes and the ships, but here it is. This quick short burst smokes, which is what the British line is really known for, and you get a lot of them. You get about 6 or 7 if you build for it. You can get these things for 10-second spot action time, and they disperse for about 40 seconds. So, hey, if you're in trouble, you need to get out of dodge, pop the smoke as you're running away, boom, you go undetected and you run away. Again, with radar out there, may not be the greatest thing. You got to keep that in mind. But again, quick smoke and a lot of them at your command is a very, very powerful tool to have, and I really do recommend that. That's why I think the daring is pretty high up there, and even above the gearing, because if I've been in darings, and I've hunted down all these other Shimakazes and gearings, and it's a great DD hunter, it's a great capper, it's a great contester, it's a great farmer, it's a great, if you had to, torpedo ships if you get close enough. But again, very, very good, very, very accurate. Look at the main battery, and again, why do I look at the battery? Because that is what sells it. HE DPM, it's up there. It's at the top 6 right there, with the AP DPM also in the top 9. So a very, very good. I say the Daring is a very definitely well-rounded ship. It's a good starter one because it's in the tech tree line. It's one of the first ones I also grinded out as well, and I definitely recommend it. It's the multi-role fighter. It does everything. Now, the other one that is the UK right here, and this is my other favorite. Now, this one is a little bit tough to get. You got to have, I think this is the Research Bureau. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's a Research Bureau ship. But what is this thing? The Druid. It's a monster. This is a minigun, forward-facing minigun. That's really a minigun with a hull. Because this thing it eats destroyers alive. I mean, oh my gosh, I have so much fun in the Druid. I would almost borderline put it OP. The problem is, it doesn't have torpedoes. So I would put the Druid, and the Druid, where is it at? It was right here. It's right here. Here it is. Druid is very good. Very good. Definitely recommend it. If you haven't played it, but here's the problem though. It requires a very big learning curve though, and I'll tell you why. It's essentially like a Daring, but no torpedoes, no HE. So that means you really got to play with your shells very well. Again, no HE right there. See, the AP damage, if you build for it, is really high. Top 7 AP damage, and really. The Druid is a monster. Look what it does. So has a lot of health. It survives a great deal. 25,000. You can build this up to 27,000 HP. But look at this. You also get heals. You get 2 of them. They heal your mistakes. That's why I always look at this plus sign. This thing heals mistakes. And that's what's really good about the Druid. Now, it's one of the slowest in the game. It's not as fast. And the detectability is not as great either. The best I could get this thing down to is 6.6 kilometers, but you're going to get outspotted by everything. But again, you only have to drive a few more seconds to get within range to melt the destroyer out. But the age of radar is what scares me, because here's the problem. Since there's only 2 forward-facing guns, you can only face forward initially. You can't run away and shoot because the gun angles are pretty bad. Look at the gun angle. See right there. If you're running away, boom, your guns don't really work. You got to keep facing forward, really. And that is the downside when you start playing with this. That's why it requires a high learning curve and know where your shots are, because either you give broadside or you have to run away or nose in. Now, I call this like more of the Petra of the destroyers, because the main bread and butter of this ship is their nose in on something and just go to town, smoke up, and fire AP damage. And the AP you can see is pretty redonkulous. Impact angle, very, very difficult to angle away against. I talked about, if you are a destroyer, you got to smoke up, run away as soon as possible as you see a druid, or you got to smoke up or whatever, get out of there, because you have to literally angle 13 degrees to the shell that coming out. So you literally have to angle 80 degrees, turn 80 degrees to go away from whatever the druid's shooting at, and literally running away, only allowing 13.5 degrees of your ship showing. Or those AP shells will literally eat you for lunch. And that's why it's so powerful. It requires a lot of learning time and curve to get over this. But look at that reload, 1.9 seconds. You can get this thing down to I've almost seen this 1.1 seconds on certain maps with the reload boosters and everything. You can build this thing out to range as well. It can reach out and touch somebody. But really, that's it. That's all it's got going for it. It's just the guns. I mean, you are literally just a sniper out there, going out there trying to eliminate the enemy with just 2 barrels. Now, here's the problem. If someone takes out one of your guns, you're knock 50%, knock this down to 50%. You're done. You're pretty much losing half your firepower right there. And that's the very problem I see is the downside. The engine boost is amazing. Propulsion is very quick. Propulsion ratio, it can really just get up and go very quickly. I like that. But really, honestly, it's not all there. And it's just not even OP. It's really just very good. Definitely recommend. If it had, I would say, torpedoes, or if it had an extra set of guns, that would probably be the best thing. But the cool thing about it is it does have the quick, smoke that the Daring has. So it's, again, like a Daring. It's just a lot of less Daring. It just doesn't have it all there. Its just focus is the Super Destroyer armed with 127 millimeter guns. That's really all it has, but it's very, very powerful, very, very fun, very definitely recommend. Has a high learning curve, okay? That's more I can talk about it right there. Now, let's talk about, okay, we talked about all the British lines. What else is out there? Let's go in the Soviets, and that's the first ones I see here. Grozovoi, Delny, Khabarovsk, and I believe one more, Zorkiy. So let's go to the USSR. Let's start with, these are monster ships right here. So let's start with the Delny. The Delny I've never really played much, but to me, the Delny is just kind of like the standard gearing Shimakaze of the Russian line. So let's put Delny. I honestly haven't played it, but I almost want to say it's a very good getting to average, good overall. But it's very, very scary to play against. I've actually encountered a Delny a couple times, and they're scary to shoot at. The only problem why I say it's average is the detectability. What kills it is it gets spotted from far away, but why does it care? It's a zombie ship. It really just constantly fires at you from long range. The HE DPM's not there, but it fires like a madman. If you look at the HE shells, the fire chance on these things is 8%, but a lot of them, because the reload time is, let's see here, where's the reload time? 5 seconds. It's still decent, but it's 4 sets of guns, though. Or no, actually only 3. My bad. I'm thinking of the Khabarovsk. Yeah, it's still, these things, it's just annoying because look how fast it goes. 43. You get it up there to maybe around the 50 knot range, full power. I mean, you're going really, really fast. It just gets spotted from the moon, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't care because the hull is very, very strong. I believe it can tank pretty well, but really, I haven't played it. Maybe I have to try it sometime to give it a better rating, but the torpedoes are 10 kilometers, whatever. Detectability is, average, 60 knot, very slow. 2-minute reload, again, not the greatest. It does have a heal, though. I have to say, if it has a heal, it's a pretty strong in my book. So if it's got heals, I almost want to say, if it wasn't for the detectability, that's what kills me, because if you're spotted from the moon, who cares? You're going to get shot out by everybody, especially in today's day and age with CVs, subs. You got radar now, radar cruisers, radar destroyers. You got everything. I mean, this thing, it's cool and all. It can do some significant annoying fire damage, but it can't really get in there and spot and cap and do all the things you want it to do effectively as good as some of those other destroyers. So I'm going to just have to say it's pretty good and average. Moving along, the Grozovoi is the gunboat version of it. So let's do the Grozovoi. So Grozovoi, I'm going to have to put as pretty darn powerful. Grozovoi, have you ever played? This is the gunboat range. This is the gunboating DD because look, it's essentially the same thing. It was designed as a large destroyer and is carried dual purpose artillery, but that's what the DPM is for right here. So the DPM, let's see what is the HE DPM on the Grozovoi. Let's see here. Grozovoi, it's better than a Delny. That's why I say it's a little bit better. 154,000. But really, again, its detectability is the killer. I mean, it's actually a lot better. So it's not as bad. That's what makes the Grozovoi a little bit better because you can get it down to about the average destroyer detectability, about a 6.5-ish range. It's what the bread and butter of it. And better is 6, but you can get it down to maybe a 6.1-ish or somewhere around there. And the speed is incredible. It goes very, very fast, very good detectability, average detectability, but the HEDPM, APDM is very powerful. The reload's what kills it. It's kind of like Summer's reload, 4.2 seconds. You can build it down maybe 3.5. The AP shells are okay. Let's see, it's got good AP damage right there. HE, yep, good penetration, 22 millimeter, good standard fire chance. The torpedoes are 2x5, 67,000, very poor. Range is what kills it right there, 8 kilometers. That's why. The Grozovoi is purely a gunboat DD for the Soviet line. I don't see many out there, but when I do see it, it's very annoying to play against because look what it has. It has everything you want. It's got damage cons, smoke. These 20-second action time, 97 seconds, which is very good. Engine boost if it needs, it goes even faster. It's got heals. Man, I might actually have to play the Grozovoi. I might actually have to select the Grozovoi next time because the heals actually is what I'm looking for in a destroyer. And if it can gunboat, it can DD, and then it's got good detectability, and it's got, you know what? I might have to actually start playing the Grozovoi. So this will be my contest to you guys. I'm going to have to put the Grozovoi in a high level right there, and that's what I did. Very good Def Remain. I have not played it, and I have to kick myself for it. I apologize, but I would rank it just looking at the stats. This thing acts like kind of like almost a Haragumo style, where the Grozovoi actually provides a lot of good firepower that I might have to use, and it's a Soviet bias. So, hey, you know what? This video actually made me aware of something I didn't know. Grozovoi is pretty darn powerful out there. Good DBM. It's got, let's see, what's the general here? Consensus. Grozovoi, it's got standard health, very fast. Detectability is kind of average along the 7.5 range. And the damage, let's see, your main battery. Grozovoi is, 4 seconds. And the turning of the turrets is a little slow, but I can build for that. It's okay. And the torpedoes is what's killer because I don't really play torpedoes much, so for it to be 8 kilometers, not the end of the world. They take forever to reload anyways. I think those are kind of like last minute if somebody's rushing you. Yeah, I might have to play Grozovoi. Pretty good, pretty high up there. So the other one is, now let's talk about the zombie ships here. Zorkiy, Khabarovsk. Okay, let's talk about the Khabarovsk. Khabarovsk is tier 10. It's very good. Why? Let's take a look at the Khabarovsk here. Khabarovsk, this thing is a mean, annoying ship that you just don't want to encounter on the battlefield. It is literally the zombie, I call it. The zombie of destroyers. Why do I say that? Now, first of all, it's fast. It's got a lot of HT, a lot of HP that you can play. It can get spotted from the moon, but who cares if you see a zombie coming at you, rushing you? A zombie horde can be coming at you miles away, but it's still coming at you, which is really very scary. The AP damage is kind of standard, like we just talked about Grozovoi style, but what gets me is it's 5-second reload is still decent enough to put the hate on you. Now, you can build for it range, but 11.2 is, you can build a range mod where you can get this thing out to maybe an annoying 13 kilometers. And imagine a destroyer running at 45 to 50 knots, shooting 12 kilometers away, constantly coming at you, and the fire chance is 8%, which is starting fires all over the place. And it's just destroying. Now, why I don't say it's so powerful is their torpedoes are non-existent. 6 kilometers, you can't do much with that. But it's got to heal. That's the thing. You keep shooting at it. You can't hit them. It's fast. They're hard to hit. And if you get a good player that can throttle juke, going back and forth, and it heals, you're shooting at this thing and it doesn't die. That's why I say it's so good at what it's supposed to do, which is annoying, harass ships out there at long ranges, cruisers and battleships especially. But when you encounter it in a DD, for some reason a DD just cannot fight against 4 sets of guns. Now, look at this. The Khabarovsk, 4 sets of guns, main battery, 4 by 130 millimeters. The HE damage is pretty horrendous. I memean, it's 182, not the Nagaka. It still does damage, but you got 4 sets, four times 2 of these things, and man, do they hit with the Mack truck here? HE damage. Let's see here. They're fast shells. I mean, the reason why they're so good is the main battery of a Khabarovsk. Look at this reload time. That's 7.1 second flight time. Look at the flight time. The flight time is what gets it. Look at that. The flight time makes it so accurate. It's almost like there's no drag time coefficient with it. It just fires straight into somebody. It's so accurate, so good, which what makes the Khabarovsk so awesome for what it can do. It's just an annoying, accurate, zombie-like ship that's hard to kill, hard to hit. So very definitely up there. Now the Zorkiy, man, this is in a whole different class. The Zorkiy is the Khabarovsk on steroids, and it's got this extra little thing, the gimmick, that gives it that extra, oomph, if you will, because it's super. It has to do it. Now, I have no idea where it's at right now. Where is the Zorkiy? I don't think it's on here. Am I wrong? Am I smoking crack here? What's going on? Zorkiy. I thought it was on here. Okay, let's just say it's on here. Zorkiy, OP, right here. I'm going to have to say Zorkiy is OP right here. Why? Zorkiy, look what it is. Okay, let's rank this thing, by the way. Zorkiy, if it had HE DPM, it's not the greatest, and it's not the greatest as well. It's still in the middle. Zorkiy is just in the middle of the AP damage, but what sells the Zorkiy right here is it has this little fire burst thing. Where is it at? Burst fire. It's got the burst fire, okay? So if you don't know what that is, it's a little funny button that you click on, and it just cuts your reload time from this into, I think it was like a 75% reduction or whatever. You're literally getting like 3 salvos off in a second, less than a second time. It's like boom, 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 boom. Imagine 4x2 guns shooting out at least 3 more salvos right after it. You're talking about 3 times this amount. That's the best way I can think of it. If this thing does this and you have a button that can just boom three times that, whatever you just did, you kind of almost triple this, almost. Not really, because you don't do it for a whole minute, but you're doing it for literally a few seconds. So that amount of firepower in the air with the great shell ballistics. I mean, what's the shell ballistics? The flight time, 7.2 seconds, which means these are laser beams, good accuracy, good range, good DPM for what it can do. Detectability, not the greatest. It still gets spotted from the moon. But here's the cool thing. 43 knots, again, Khabarovsk speeds and everything. The HP health, redonkulous. You're out there into the zombie range of 27,000-ish, 28,000, which is pretty incredible for a destroyer with, but mind you, heals. I would play this with smoke, but really, honestly, I'd rather have the heals because I like to correct mistakes if I'm gunboat DDing out there. Speed boost for, I don't know why you need an extra speed boost if you're already going 40-something plus knots. You're going up to 50 knots out there, running like a madman. And the AP shells are pretty decent. Good impact angles. Ricochet, 45 to 60. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong number. 45 to 60 degrees. So if you got to angle literally more than 60 degrees, now the Druid and all them, I think it was 75. Let me go back to that so I can show you guys. AP shell damage. Yep, 67.5. So you got to angle away 75 degrees away from these things. So I correct myself right there. Anyways, going back to the Zorkiy. The Zorkiy is scary. It is literally the burst fire. It's a Khabarovsk with a burst fire and a heal. So a little bit more extra HP health. You got good guns. Torpedoes are a little bit better than Khabarovsk. 10 kilometers, nothing to gawk at. Still something there, but again, they're just standard torpedoes that go 60 knots. Reaction time is 7.4. But man, have you ever gone up against a Zorkiy? You'll regret it. It's just letting you know, try going up against one and see how you like playing against it then. But the Zorkiy, very, very, it's a super tier 11 super ship. Again, it's a Khabarovsk on steroids. I would have to say one of the first ships I think is OP. Put it up there right there. It is ungodly for what it can do. Okay, so I'm just letting you know, as a gunboat DD main, I would play it right there. So I'll put it in the OP section right there. All right. Moving along, we talked about all the Soviet destroyers. So what's left? Let's talk about the Spanish ones. The Alvaro de Bazan. I haven't played this thing, and I'll tell you why I don't play it. And I'm going to have to say this thing is too situational. Alvaro de Bazan, where is it at? I don't think it's here in the thing, but I'm going to have to say below average, too situational. Why do I say that? because of this little problem right here. This thing is detectable. It's standard detectability. HP has got a lot of HP now. 4x2 guns. Now, again, 4 sets of guns are cool. 6-second reload time. That's what kills it right there. Not the greatest, and that's what I don't like it very, very much. And it has, I want to say, what does it have? It has, does it have SAP? I think this is the one that, no, it doesn't have SAP. It's got poor DPM. It's not the highest. It's not the greatest killer. It's standard range, terrible reload. That's why you don't see many of the ships playing in ranked or clan battles or even random. So I just don't see it. I don't play it. Torpedoes. Let's see here. The torpedoes are kind of just wonky. 90-second reload time, 13 kilometer, but 2x4 tubes. I mean, you only get 8 of them. Why play that when you can play something better, right? So again, it's got the smoke generator. Yay, whoop-de-doo. And that's really all the gimmick is. I mean, it doesn't have anything really going for it other than it's just kind of a standard 4-gun kind of style destroyer. I think it may have the crawl. Let's see here. This is not the crawling smoke or anything. Yeah, it really just seems like an average kind of, and very situational because the torpedo and the gun range is so long reloads. I don't really see it. No heals or anything, so it's got really no gimmick to it that I don't see that's very attractive with this. And the DPM is just not all that either. So let's see, where is it at? It's in Alvaro. So the DPM, where's it at rank-wise? Yeah, it's way down here. Yeah, so that's why I have to say this is too situational. Not for me. No, thank you. So nothing against anybody else out there, but that's what I think about it. Now let's go. The other counterpart to that is, let's see here. It was I think the Attillo Regolo, the Italian destroyer. What is this thing? It's got sap shells. So it's got the sap, but here's the problem with it. The detection, you can spot this from a lighthouse mile away. And then the other one, here's the other problem. It's only 9.6 kilometers, too situational. What do you mean I have to drive into 9? So my detectability is 9. Or 8.9, and I only get an extra kilometer of shooting. Right there off the bat, I don't care how much health you have. I don't care what your DPM is, your SAP DPM, whatever. Yeah, you get crawling smoke, but who cares? Engine boost. But you know what? If your gun range is only 9.6 kilometers, like what are you then? Like, come on. Let's see here. Let's put the HE DPM. I tell you, yeah, there's only 2 ships in here that got sapped, so you can't really rank it that well. But if it's only 9.6 kilometers, now I will argue though, if you get caught in the open, like 6 kilometers with this thing out there and shooting, I mean, again, not the greatest reload, but if it can pump out that much sap damage, I would say that this thing could be effective in that situation. That's why I call it situational. But once you drive, what's the counterattack to this? Just drive away. Drive away 9.6 kilometers, and boom, he can't shoot at you, but you can shoot all day at him. Not the greatest. That's too situational for me. I think that's a trash DD. I would have to say that this thing, yeah, I would have to put this thing as trash. Where's that? Because the fact that your guns only go that far, and then what is the torpedoes? Let's see here. Go back to general. What's it? Attillo Regolo. Where did I put that thing? Oh, yeah, right up here. If the torpedoes are only, 74,000 DPM, 13, I don't care if they're 13 kilometers, but you got a reaction time of 6 seconds? Okay, I'll give you that. But they don't do that much damage. They're slow, 13.4, 56 knots. My goodness, very slow. Even there for the 6 reaction, they had to do that. They had to buff it somehow. Yeah, too situational. It really... Yeah, why did they give it such a terrible... It doesn't make sense why the gun range is so awful. Their artillery is composed of 835 millimeter guns. Yeah, I don't see it. Yeah, I'm going to have to rank this thing as poor. Why bother? So that's my thought on those. Okay, so we talked about the American line, USR line. We already talked about Kunming, Yueyang. Let's talk about the Pan-Asian. Yueyang, we already talked about the Kunming. Very, very good. Yueyang. What is the Yueyang? I would recommend this maybe. It depends on how you play it. It's kind of a combination of 2 types of destroyer players for Yueyang, which is why I like it a lot. Yueyang, where is it at? Oh, it's not on here. Okay. Whoever built that, add Yueyang. Yueyang is essentially a gearing with deep water torpedoes and a little bit poor reload. So I'm going to have to put this, if I play it like I play it, I would put this in a very good. Why? Why do I say this is very good? Okay. Former destroyer of the Allen class transferred. She was developed for the Fletcher class destroyers and the gearing. Yep. Her predecessor, she had more powerful artillery, but ran a slower speed. Okay. So why? General HP, not the greatest right there. Speed is a little bit better. Gearing style. Detectability, gearing style, very good. The main battery, not the greatest either. Again, it could be better. Again, the reason why it stinks so bad is 4 seconds, but there is a legendary buff out there that you can get this thing down to 3 seconds, and maybe if you do the Fearless Brawler Adrenaline Rush and AFT, you can get this down to maybe about a 2.5 second reload, 2.7 seconds. Pretty darn good. Good range, which is still 12 kilometers, so it can farm a little bit. Not the greatest, I would say, dispersion for it. I mean, the shells get there, but sometimes they're wonky. The HE shells are 5% chance. Yep, now fire damage, whatever. Here's the selling point. The deep water torpedoes. You have 10 torpedoes, right? 2x5s, 13.5 kilometers, great range. Reload time's pretty horrendous. But look at this. Detectability is 0.8, which means it gives you a 4-second reaction time, kind of like along the lines of the Kunming right there. Yueyang also has this reload booster, which means you can get 10 torpedoes out there, hit this reload booster, get a 10 more. You got 20 torpedoes going out there. And here's the cool thing. You get surveillance radar instead of smoke. So if you're a farmer, you can use smoke to get you out of dodge. And again, they're long, like kind of like almost American-style smokes, but actually it's only half the time of the American smokes still there. But you got radar, 7.5-kilometer radar, which means that if you want to hunt destroyers, you have that option. That's why I play it. I like to hunt destroyers and have that radar. If someone wants to pop smoke, thinks they're sneaky, they want to get away from me, boom, I pop the radar. The destroyers lit up bright as day. And also, I can take on cruisers, battleships, and CVs with the deep water torpedoes. And that's what's really very powerful about it. It's very good overall around. But again, I get the selling point is really the torpedoes detections. It's a good detectability. It's got radar, which not many destroyer players out there have that. And the reload booster and everything like that, it does a very good job in that regard. It's just the guns aren't as powerful as you would want them. You can build for it, but again, the Yueyang, it's I would say definitely for my play style, I definitely recommend it. It's very good. Play it, try out. It's a powerful thing. For the torpedoes to reach out and touch somebody, it's a very scary sight to see these deep waters coming at you, and you can't really do much about them. And it really holds off flanks. I've seen it, like in the Kunming and the Yueyang, I rank them way up here because they really can hold off an entire flank with those deep waters. People are terrified of them, and that's why with those reload boosters, and now it has radar, it is very, very powerful to deal with and very scary. So very, I mean, it's a good, well-around destroyer. So for my playstyle, I definitely recommend it. So those are the Pan-Asians. The Netherlands, Tromp. The Tromp came out as a, what was it called? I think it's a special ship. I don't know if it's a, let me know in the comments below if it's an armory ship. I think the Tromp is an armory. It's kind of powerful. I would say very good, definitely recommend. Why do I say that? It's got 3 sets of 150 millimeter guns. What do the 150 millimeter guns do for you? Because look at this. Main battery. The HEDPM on the Tromp is, it's not the greatest. Why is it? What did I see earlier that was so good about it? But I think it's the shell time. Was it the shells? Nope. The Tromp is pretty quick shells, 7.1 seconds. It's pretty accurate, but man, those guns hurt. I mean, if you play against the Tromp, I mean, look at this. First of all, the HE health is incredible. I mean, one of the highest HE healths in the game. It's very slow. It's one of the, that's what I saw. It was one of the slowest, I think it's the slowest destroyer in the game. That's probably the downside of it. But when you got these big guns and what it's supposed to do, I'll tell you why. You don't really need to be fast. It's got kind of like standard detectability. The HE guns are pretty strong. If the reload wasn't as bad, I would give it even better rating. But the reload is kind of very poor. But these guns hit like a Mack truck. 30 millimeter penetration. That's what gets it. That's what gives it its balance right there. That it can literally do 30 millimeter pen damage, which means your 30 millimeter guns or hulls are going to get, I mean, most cruisers have less than 30 millimeters of armor. So this thing is penetrating cruisers. It's really, really awesome and effective. Look at the AP shells, 94 millimeter penetration damage. Not the greatest ricochet angles, but again, when you have HE this powerful, who cares? The torpedoes are wonky, 12 kilometer range. There's only 3 of them. 3 of them by 3 times 2. Or, 3 barrel, 2 of them. on one on each side, and that's really all you get. 71, 1.3 detection, 6.8 second reaction time. But here's the kicker that really sells this thing is the airstrikes. Where is it? HE airstrikes. You get 2 airstrikes, I believe, bombs per drop. Let's see, where is it at? 72 bombs? My God, 72 bombs? Come on. Seriously? Like 72 bombs in a strike, one strike, and you got a 10-kilometer distance, which means you got to drive into 12 kilometers Soviet radar, and you're right there at American radar. So if you get spotted, you're going to get farmed to death. But that's how you use the airstrike capability of the Tromp. So if you don't know what an airstrike is, you call an airstrike, these 12 planes come in, and they just jump, boom, 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 boom. They drop 21 millimeter damage. They start fires like crazy, 21%. It's one of the most powerful things in the game, these airstrikes. I'm scared of them. I don't know where wargaming is going with the direction of where having destroyers call in airstrikes nowadays. That's another topic, another story. But Tromp that's the selling point right there, and that's what I would have to rank it pretty high up there for that reason. Because if you get hit with these airstrikes, go look at it. It hurts a lot, and they're coming out of nowhere. It could be sitting in behind an island or in someone's smoke, and you don't know where these airstrikes are coming from, and it's very difficult to mess with. If you're a destroyer going against a Tromp, these 150 millimeter guns are very, very powerful. I build it for a gun build, so you're cutting that reload time pretty down. It is a scary thing to deal with. The Tromp, and it has a lot of HE pool. So definitely recommend, pretty powerful up there. So that's what I have to say about that one. Tromp is pretty nasty to play against. And we already talked about the Netherlands, Japanese, Italian, the Germans, France, and Europe is the last one. Vampire we'll save for last. So let's talk about the German line. Now, the Z42 I have not played. According to this, I feel like it's a German Haragumo. Because the AP DPM is what sells it right there. Look at that. Pretty high up there. You got 300,000 range, 36 knots, detection standard. The reload is what I'm looking for. 4.5 second reload. Not the greatest. I would say it should be a little faster. That's the problem. I would give this thing as a situational. And because I've seen so many people buy this thing and they want to return it. That's the reason why I almost want to give it an average. I almost want to give this thing average because... It's decent in my opinion, but a lot of people that have been playing it, and I've seen the videos, Z42 doesn't cut the mustard. It's just not doing so well. It's too situational. It doesn't have any heals either. No heals. It's got the 6-kilometer hydro again, but that's situational because with the amount of radar that's out there now, it's going to bait you into a trap. Now, it does have the cool short burst smoke screens that the British destroyers have, but again, it's baiting you into driving in to use your 6-kilometer hydro, which most people do not do nowadays with radar and CVs and subs and everything nowadays. The short burst of smoke, if it happens, it's just to get out of a dodge kind of situation. But even if you were spotted, you're a 4.5 second reload time with, I get it, you got 5 guns, but your DPM is just suffering because of that HE DPM. Now, the AP DPM, why it's so good is because each shell, it's traveling fast, flight time's good. It just does a little bit more damage. 2,300 damage. That's what gives it its kick right there. It's not the greatest. Standard angles, but really, it just doesn't do much. It just sits in the smoke, uses hydro, but if you drive out the hydro, it's worthless. It's just sitting there in smoke at that point. The torpedoes are standard German torpedoes, so I'm not going to talk about that. But yeah, really, a lot of people have been complaining about it, and it just got. I think it got nerfed. If the DPM was that along the Haragumo, if you get 5 sets of 105s, right? Look, the penetration damage is cool, 26 millimeters. Haragumo does 30, but if it had the actual German 30 millimeter pen, that'd be better. And I think they need to buff the reload. That's why I would give it too much of a situational, because other than the hydro, it has no other gimmick other than it just needs a better DPM. So I'm gonna have to rank the Z42, and for the cost, for what it is, Z42, you have to use, I believe, steel. It's a steel ship. For that amount of steel, for that poor of a performance, I have to say it's too situational, below average. So I'm going to have to put it right there. And now the Z52 is a lot better, I think. Z52, for what it is, it's a tech tree. And the Z52 is a little bit better. It's right there. The AP damage is slightly smaller than the Z42, but the HE damage is not. It's lacking, but the reload's a little bit better. Okay, 3.8 seconds. And like I said, it's got nothing else other than, again, it's a 6-kilometer hydro with a standard smoke. And that's really all it's got going. 10-kilometer standard Germans, torpedoes, whoop-de-doo. But the AP shells and the damage, it's a kind of a well-rounded kind of a little destroyer that just does the basic things. It just doesn't have a heal. It has no other standard gimmick other than a 6-kilometer hydro. Here, look at that, 32. See, this is why I wish the Z42 had the 32 millimeter pen damage. Why can't it have that? I mean, it's 105 millimeter guns, which kills it. But if it give it 128 millimeters and 5 of them, I think that would make the Z42 worth it. And that's why Z52 does a better job, because it pens 32 millimeters just for basic 128 millimeter guns. The reload's a little bit better if you build for it. It's pretty good. And really, that's all that you need for a basic standard destroyer that goes in, can cap, it can spot, it can take on destroyers if it had to. But if it doesn't have any, why I don't like it, the fact that it doesn't have any heals. If you're going to use a 6-kilometer hydro to detect destroyer players, right, and you're going to go out and gunboat, then you need at least a heal or better HE. Look at that, 20,000. It's been power crept. I mean, there's better destroyers out there that do a better job for what it can do. So the Z52, yeah, I'm going to have to rate it as, better than the Z42, but average overall. So it's a good, well-rounded ship. Now, the other German destroyer that I really, really enjoy. Now, how do I rank this thing? If this thing is, let's see, what is the German? If I had to do the health pool, look where the Elbing is. Best health in the game. That's why I rank it literally very def to recommend. Almost OP levels, almost, for a couple of lacking things. Elbing. First of all, the HE pool is horrendous. This thing is a miniature cruiser that does DD things. So look at this. The speed is not nothing to gawk at. 36 knots, still quick. It's still quick around the map. The detectability, not the greatest, but that can be dealt with. You can, look at the detectability. It's still okay. I mean, it's better than these big destroyers out here, but it still does a better job. You can still get it down to maybe like a 6.77-ish, whatever, right? But for what the Elbing does, it's the powerful 150 millimeter gun twin turrets that gets it right there. That it is a gun machine on a hull. So let's see here. Not only does it have zombie-like health right here, right? It's pretty decent. The detectability is what kills it. It had to be, because otherwise it'd be too powerful. If it was detectability was like 6, yeah, OP almost. AP damage is pretty high up there, but that's what's the coolest part about this is 60 to 68 degree pen angle. So it's a little bit better. It is, but this thing the selling point is the AP shell damage, because it can pin 190 millimeter. It can pin battleships. It can pin cruisers. It can, at the specific ranges and stuff, you can pin almost anything out there, which is incredible. 38 millimeter damage on the HE, 150. I mean, some of the biggest guns in the game on a teeny little body. 38 millimeter pin damage with a 12% fire chance. So this thing has ungodly guns. I don't care the reload is 7.1. If you build for it, these things punch you in the face. The torpedoes are nothing to gawk at either. It's a lot better than the standard German torpedoes that go out to 13.5, 90-second reload, but they only go 50 knots, and that's not bad. That is actually the worst, but it's still, you get 90-second reload torpedoes with these kind of guns on it. And no heals, but who needs a heal when you have 30,000 HP? You're a little miniature cruiser, essentially, and you get smoke. So this thing, I've played so many games, the clan battles ranked, everything with the Elbing, and then we've won tons of matches with it. It is a force to reckon with on the battlefield. Definitely recommend. Definitely try it out. It's powerful. If it wasn't for the detectability, and also if it doesn't had a heal or something, or some other extra gimmick in it, it would be OP. This is probably one of the best destroyers in the game. I've played a lot with it, and it's very, very scary to deal with. Definitely recommend it. It's pretty good. All right, what's left? So we've talked about all the Germans right there. French destroyers. Okay, now Kleber, Marceau. Essentially two of the same hulls. What are the differences? The differences are the guns. Look at this, 44 knots right there. So some of the fastest ships in the game. Yeah, Kleber and Marceau. We'll rank them this way. Kleber, up there, same hull, same speed. They're pretty much identical. The problem is Kleber, right here is what a Kleber looks like. Kleber is 9.6 kilometer detection, one of the worst detections in the game. Let's see, look at it. Yep, pretty up there behind the Cabrosk. So you spot this thing from a mile away. The speed we talked about, it's fast. It just goes all around the map. You can get around the map so quickly. You literally are spotting, capping, doing all types of things all around the map. However, you're detected from a mile away, which is really poor. The main battery is 4 139mm guns. They're pretty big. HE damage is not there. That's the problem. Why? Reload second. Look at reload is 7 seconds. That's why I say go with the Marceau. Half the reload time, way better DPM. So Kleber, in my mind, this is where I rank it right here. You don't have to go farther than that. I mean, if you want to look at the torpedoes, Kleber, terrible torpedoes. I mean, it's 8-kilometer range. You can't really do much with that, right? Unless you get up close and personal. If you want to be a delivery system, go for it. That's a situational play style. That's why I say it's trash, almost trash, but below average to situational. The only thing it's got going for it, the Kleber, is the fact that it has the reload booster. Now, the reload booster is kind of like a burst fire, in my opinion, where you punch it and it cuts the fire rate down pretty significantly. And especially if you're gunboating, DDing, it's pretty scary to deal with. But you're outspotted so much nowadays with radar, with other Shimakazes out there outspotting you. You're getting shot at before you can even use it. So that's the kind of situations I have with it. That's why, again, it's situational. The HE health is not great either. 21,000. You can build it up to 23. The speed is all you got going for it. The HE AP damage is not all there. Reload time is horrendous. Pen angles are not there either. 23mm fire chance. Yeah, fire chance is better, but you're spotted from the moon. Torpedoes are 8 kilometers. Like, what other situation do you use this for other than get spotted, run away, start shooting? So terrible, terrible trash. I almost want to say trash, but Kleber, it just got power crept over the years. One of the first fast French firing DD out there, but there is a better ship out there, and that's the one we were just talking about, which is the Marceau. Marceau is borderline OP. I use it all the time in ranked and clan battles. The thing is so powerful. If it wasn't for the torpedoes, but look at this. The Marceau's main battery, best AP in the game, best HE in the game. You have literally the best of all guns, and I'm a gunboat DD main. Why else would I not pick this? 4x2, 127mm, just way better than the Smaland right there. And the Smaland you can't even get anymore. Marceau is up there. It is one of the most powerful ships in the game, if not the best. 11.5 kilometer range, which means it can harass you out there at a distance. Good reload. The torpedoes are lacking. 4x3. I mean, 9 kilometer range, which means you got to get it within 2 kilometers of detectability. Not the greatest DPM. Reload's pretty long. 60 knot torpedoes, 8.1 second reaction time. But what sells it, if you're a gunboat DD main, why would I not pick this? This is almost borderline OP. I mean, it is powerful. If it just had a heal, or if it had better torpedoes, this thing would be OP. It's one of the best destroyers in the game, and you can get it. It's in the armory. So, awesome. Marceau. Incredible. Now, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's the best. I think it's one of the best destroyers in the game. Let's see, what else has it got going for it? I mean, here's just all the stuff. It doesn't need much consumables because it's a gunboat DD. It just literally drives around the map, and it just eats you alive. I've seen so many people say, oh my gosh, Marceau, it's such annoying to play against. And it's also like, why, if you have a Marceau, why get a Kleber? You know, why get a Kleber and when you can have a Marceau? That's my opinion on it. Now, you can, if you start seeing what I'm about to get at, the Smaland's the next. Smaland OP in the game is the best destroyer for me. For my play style, Smaland's the best game. Because the reason why is not, I put it OP because you can't get it anymore. Why? The Wargaming removed it. Why would they remove it? Because it's OP. The European, let's start talking about the European. I think that's the last one that's left, right? European and Vampire's come well. Okay. I put all these together anyways because Vampire, in my opinion, is kind of European. All right, Smaland, best destroyer in the game. Why do I say that? Look at this bad boy. This thing is a monster to deal with. Why? It's got the best of everything. Now, the health pool isn't there, but why does it matter? And you got the cool get out of jail free card, the repair party. Repair party all the way. You make a mistake, you pop the heal, you replace your damage. Good detectability, which is standards average detectability for what it can do. About a 6.5-ish detectability, 6.6, I think. Only two sets of guns, though. Double barrel, 120mm. But look at the DPM. Some of the highest DPM in the game because it has a 1.7 second reload. You build this down to 1.1, you're eating destroyers alive. And I have to say, you will burn ships alive as well with 8% fire chance. 20mm pen. Not the greatest pen, but you're shooting this many shells, you're going to start fires. I'm telling you, the amount of damage you're pumping out from a Smaland is incredible. The impact angles, let's see here. The standard Slow shells, the shells are good. Torpedoes, it has 1x5, 1x3. They're kind of Halland type torpedoes. Reload's pretty good. You can get it down to 90 seconds. Very fast torpedoes. Reaction time is cutting 7.8 seconds, a lot better than Shimakaze style, but they don't pack much of a damage. There's 51,000 DPM. They don't punch that hard, 10.7. So that's why it's kind of okay. But you're a gunboat DD main. Why do you care? They're just kind of something you throw out there to cause extra damage. Really, the guns are the selling point. And here's the kicker right here. Right here. This is not only get out of jail free card, but also one extra gimmick to give it the best gunboat situation that you could ever have as a gunboat DD main, which is radar. As soon as you see spotter DD, you start open firing on it. It tries to run away. It tries to, if it can run away, by the time it tries to, it's going to get eaten alive by the DPM. And if it pops smoke to get out of there, it just eliminated its chance to see you, and you pop the radar, you spot that thing for a good 20 seconds, you just eat the DD alive. So it is, if you ever played against a Smaland, it is almost one of the hardest destroyers to play against in the game. It's been nerfed maybe once, I think, but the heals, what saves it, because without the heals, the health pool is really negligible, but with the heals, it brings it back to life. So very, very powerful. The reason why I say it's OP right now, because it's not in the game. It's not available to purchase anymore. It was free XP, but it's not there anymore. But look, if I had to rank this thing, look at the main battery. Smaland is the second best to the literally Marceau. Some of the best DPM in the game, some of the best AP damage in the game. Very, very incredible. Now, talking about the Smaland is the younger brother of the next ship I was going to talk about, Ragnar. Ragnar, it used to be definitely good. Now I think it's average. Why? The Ragnar used to be a more very, very powerful ship, but because I think it got nerfed because there was so much complaining about what it was. The Ragnar, if you don't know what it is, it's a 2-gun, again, like a bigger brother Smaland, but it has 152 millimeter guns. The biggest thing that kills it is this detectability, 7.5 detectability you can build it down to. But the cool thing that saves it is the radar. Okay, now why do I say it? It's a bigger brother Smaland, so it does a lot of the same things. The problem is the detectability is very high, 7.5 kilometers you build for it. But as soon as you get detected, you pop the radar. So that's cool. Action time, 30 seconds. That's really powerful. So as soon as you get spotted by this thing, you better start running, because the Ragnar is going to pop its radar, and for 30 seconds, it's going to start lobbing 152 millimeter shells, which not the greatest. Now, this is what got nerfed, I think. It used to be around 2 seconds. Now, people were complaining that it was just a cruiser on steroids, and that's hard to hit. So it was just firing from long distance. And look at the range, 13 kilometers. You can build this thing out to 15. It is such an annoying thing to play against, and that's why it probably got nerfed. The reload rate, it got nerfed many times. And really, if this was down to 2 seconds, it'd be OP, because it would just constantly burn down cruisers and battleships. It would eat destroyers alive. It would hunt them down and just murder them, and you couldn't do anything about it. Its health is up here near the 30,000 range. 152 millimeters. You're talking about Worcester style guns. 30 millimeter pin damage, that's why it scares cruisers a lot. Eats destroyers alive, and it's got heals. I mean, it's tough to kill. There's only got 2 of them though, but still, it's enough to forgive yourself for 30,000, almost 30k health pool. Radar's got going. It's got an engine boost, so it's kind of pretty clunky. It's like a miniature cruiser. It can go 40 knots, cool, but that's a situational for get out of dodge speed boost if you're getting shot at. But this thing, you can get in the hands of a right player, this thing can really, really eat your lunch alive. It's that powerful. But because it got nerfed reload, I will have to say that is kind of like average now. And I think it has armor along the mid section of the ship, like around the 50 millimeter plating. I thought it used to have it, kind of like what the Cabros has. So it can deflect a lot of destroyer caliber guns, but most destroyer players will normally just shoot along the top portion of the ship to the main structure here. So this 50 millimeter armor plating right here, or whatever it was that was protecting it, it's kind of negligible now near the water line, because most people don't shoot the water line of destroyer players. They kind of shoot like near the main hole up here at the top or whatever. So again, do I recommend it? Yeah, it's a good one. It's a pretty hefty price though. I think this is available for steel. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's one of the hardest things to get out there. So if you get it, it's fun, but kind of situational at times. No torpedoes. It's just bigger brother Smaland, but the Smaland outdoes this one. No big deal. Let's talk about the Halland. Yeah, the Dalarna. Okay, so Dalarna is Well, let's talk about Halland first. Dalarna to me is a bigger brother Halland. So what is a Halland? It's a 2-gun Smaland. It's the same thing as a Smaland, really. It's just more focused on torpedoes. The guns are 2x20. Again, Smaland style kind of guns. Standard detectability, about 6.5-ish. Speed, standard, whatever. Reload is 2 seconds, which is still powerful. I still build it down to a gun reload DPM rate, which is pretty good. So if I had to look at the DPM rate on a Halland, look at that. Smaland's right there, and Halland's up there. Also, 210,000 damage near that gearing style level, gearing level DPM. It's only got 2 sets of guns, though, but still powerful. And the range is lacking, though. 10.5 kilometer gun range, so it's really just good for hunting DDs, not good for farming much anything else. But what's the selling point of this thing is the torpedoes. What are the torpedoes? They are fast little laser beams. 2x5, 90-second reload if you build for it. 86 knots. You can get this thing up to 90 plus knots with a 7.8 second reaction time, but it's still with the speed that they're going, they're hard to dodge, and they're just coming at you with a force. I mean, even if you got a reaction time, they're still coming at you really, really fast. So your ship, if it doesn't turn quick enough, it still doesn't matter if your reaction time is 7.8 seconds. It still hits you. But the worst part about it is the DPM is very lacking. Some of the worst DPM in the game because they only hit you for 10,700. Not the greatest. Damage con, engine boost. Now, here's the selling point, the heals. The cool thing I like about it that the European line has is it's got heals. It's kind of get out of jail free card. You make a mistake, run away. It's still a good DD gunboat for what if you build for it and you play it right, you can do it. But I'll have to say it's kind of average. The Halland is kind of an average one. What it really is just a torpedo boat, and the guns are really just to fend off if it needs to, but it's focused on the torpedoes. Now, I would say they built the Halland for, I would say, the best AA in the game, but AA's trash. It's just a fireworks show. So really, and the flak strength is incredible, but really, I've seen planes fly through a Halland flak, and they just survive. So the Halland used to be all about the anti-aircraft, but now it's been kind of like power crept, and that's all it's really got going for it. It's still a good, well-rounded DD. I would recommend a Halland for you starting out because it's got the heals. It's forgiving. It can hold its own against so-called AA, but really it's a fireworks show. It's got the heals to save you again. The guns are fast fire and reload. There's only 2 of them, though, so 50% knockout if you get one gone. But I would say that. But now what they just released, which is the Dalarna, which is the Halland on steroids, which is the super ship. It's got an extra set of guns in front, which makes it a little bit better. But I've noticed that the Dalarna got nerfed in the sense of the guns. The guns got nerfed. So I would have to put this in the average with the Halland because the guns got nerfed. Why do I say that? The reload time. It used to be better. 2.8 seconds. I mean, yeah, the DPM's up there, but let's take a look at it. The main battery, HE-DPM, Dalarna's right behind the Haragumo, but it's such a large ship to shoot at. I mean, if it had an extra set of guns with the Haragumo, it'd be better, but 3x2, 120 millimeters, a super ship. The HE pool is not the greatest as well. Look at the HE is only 20,300 for, really? I mean, Haragumo has more. Marceau has more. I mean, why? This is a super ship you're talking about here. It only goes 36 knots. Its detectability is kind of average. What else has it got going for it? I mean, the torpedoes are okay. I mean, the torpedoes are, but some of the worst, I mean, it's European torpedoes. Only 71,000, 15 kilometers, not bad. They can get out there and reach you, but poor damage, 90-second reloads, cool and all. It's for a super ship. That's what eggs me is because if it was a super ship that did super things, maybe I would go up one more level. But since it only does kind of standard things, it just doesn't work. Now I've played a lot of Dalarna. It does have the HE damage and the DPM out there. The problem is you're such a large ship that you get shot at so easily that people hit you so well nowadays. The AA is not there, so CVs are spotting you constantly. You're constantly running away. The Dalarna it doesn't have smoke, so as soon as you fire, you're spotted from the moon. And really, I mean, what are the gimmicks? It's just the heals. And you get 3 of them, that's cool, but you need them because you're getting shot at so much because you're such a large ship. I mean, 137 meters. I mean, very, very large, very big target to hit. I've noticed I've been hit more often in a Dalarna than I am in a Halland. So that's why I have to rank this thing as average. Dalarna, and again, it's a super ship. I thought this would be super things, but it's not, so it's average. The last one we're going to talk about, of this line is, oh, actually, that's it. So Ragnar, Halland, Dalarna, some of the best. I know I own all of these, and I definitely recommend these are my top DDs to play with. I just wish the Dalarna was a lot better, and that's why I rank it average. Now, here's one of my favorites right here. Let's go ahead and get the Vampire going. What is the Vampire? Let's see. What's the selling point on the Vampire? It's number 3. Why do I like the Vampire so much? Because it's right there behind the Smaland. And I'll tell you why. The Vampire is kind of like the Druid. I think it's a research bureau ship. Now, its selling point, which makes it so powerful, is the guns and the crawling smoke. So if I had to rank this thing, I would have to rank this as a definite must, almost borderline OP. If the Vampire right there, borderline OP, but Vampire 2 right there. Why do I rank it so high up there? Now, here it is. Detectability is very good. You can get this down to 5.8 if you build for it. But the way I build for it and play, I just leave it at 6.5. The speed is standard. HE is not the greatest health pool right there. And look, there's no heals. That's the problem. If this thing had heals, OP, definitely. But some of the best AP HE damage in the game. Improved ricochet angles for the AP shells. The AP shells are what sells it right here. Look at this, 2,100 damage each one. That's what gives you such a 300,000 AP damage right there. The HE BPM is also incredible because look at the reload time, 2.5 second reload time. You can get this down to almost under 2 seconds, and that's just one half of the bread and butter right there. 19 millimeter pan, good fire chance right there. But what really sells it, that gives it its power, is this crawling smoke. The crawling smoke is a dangerous thing because why? It moves with you. So if you want to not only get out of dodge and just run away, it keeps you hidden. But also if you're contesting caps, as soon as you pop the smoke, you can move yourself at will inside a cap, move around. And here's the other part. With the combination of this hydro, 5-kilometer hydro, this crawling smoke in combination, you are spotting and capping easily with DDs in the cap. So you have a 5-kilometer cap hydro, which means you spot anything within 5 kilometers and use the crawling smoke to keep you concealed. Now, the one caveat is if you're within radar range of something, you're going to get spotted from the moon and you have nobody to spot for you. You're a sitting duck. That's the only problem that I wouldn't give it OP, because it's a situational thing that you have to be careful about playing with. But when you put it together, it's a very, very powerful combination, especially with this combination of fast-firing guns. It has only one set of these 5-tube torpedo launchers, kind of like a Daring style. 12-kilometer range, which is a lot better than Daring. It gets a lot better. That's why it makes it powerful. And you can single launch these things all day. And the reload time is 96 seconds. 7.8 second reaction time. So very, very powerful destroyer. Now, if it had a heal, if they could change out something, maybe it had took out the speed boost here and put a heal, or took out the smoke, put a heal, this thing would literally be OP. I mean, it's one of the most powerful destroyers in the game. I actually build the gun range out to 15 kilometers. So you are literally throwing shells out to the moon. And I've seen so many people say Vampire is so OP. I've seen it so many times in chat, which tells me that thing is almost borderline OP. But the problem is, it doesn't have a heal, so you can't forgive it. If it gets caught in radar, it's very, very kind of a sitting duck. Because here's the problem, the downside of the crawling smoke. If you engage the crawling smoke and no one's spotting for you, and someone radars you or spots you first during a 6-kilometer hydro, you can't get out of that smoke. You are literally watching that smoke drive away with you. I mean, if you're running away, the smoke goes with you. People can see that smoke moving. They can spot you from a mile away. Where's that smoke going? Oh, I know where it's at. That's where the Vampire is. And you can just hunt them down and chase down the smoke. And again, you can't get out of the smoke. You can't turn it off. And you got to wait the full 90 seconds that it's being dispersed. So that is what is the one downside that's holding it back and keeping it kind of balanced, in my personal opinion. So that is right now all I have. Those are all the destroyers that I ranked right now. Let me know what you think in the comments below. We're on our way to 1,200 subscribers. Ultimate goal is 2,000, and we're going to give away a DD premium ship at 2,000. We'll let you guys know how we're going to do that drawing. But right there, that's all the DD lines that are currently available in this tier list. Let me know what you think. Let me know your comments. You like, dislike, what we can do better. But that's how I'd rank the ships right there. Again, minus a lot of the tier 11 and some of the ships that weren't in here from the guy that made this tier list maker. That's how I ranked them, and that's where I'm at. Hope you guys have a great time. See you guys out there on the high seas. And until then, you guys stay safe. Cheers.